Oh, hi, I didn't see you there. What's up? All
Shit, I
right.
didn't realize we started. Hey, I didn't see you guys either.
I'm Sean Christopher Jenkins. This is my guy, Justin Lee Howell. We hit you guys with a lot of videos. 2 videos a week we try to do. If we can do 4, we try to hit you with that too. But yeah, if you just watched our previous video, we just went live right before this video that you see here. So if you want to get the first part of the video, it's on my YouTube channel right here. So this is part 2 that you're watching right now on my YouTube channel, Uplift Past Crossroads. Now we're on the first part. And the title of today's video is just look outside to see God's glory. So just look outside to see God's glory. This is part 2. All right, so we're doing a book review. So on my YouTube channel, we have this playlist. So this is where I talk about all the books that me and Justin are reading. And we just break down the quotes, the passages, the segments that we really like, or the theme of the book to describe it. Just anything that points to God, right? So today's video was on this book right here that I'm reading for seminary school, Ask the Beast, Darwin, the God of Love by Elizabeth A. Johnson. And so let's just go ahead and get into it because we're on the second part. So we're trying to say things that we didn't say for the first video because I got a lot more to say on this. So let's talk about, I'm going to read the excerpt again from the book that I really liked, and then we're just going to break down everything in a way that I want to break it down. All right. So maybe, Justin, you'll have something else for this part too.
Yeah.
So in the book on page 18, but in the Roman numeric pages, so the very beginning of the book, it says, Doctor said the last paragraph of Darwin's On the Origin of Species opens with a beautiful image well known to him from many walks in the English countryside. It is interesting to contemplate an entangled bank clothed with many plants of many kinds, with birds singing on the bushes, with various insects flitting about, and with worms crawling through the damp earth, and to reflect that these elaborate constructed forms, so different from each other and dependent on each other in so complex a manner, have all been produced by laws acting around us. All right. And then Johnson said also note that the ecological richness of his vision with the entangled banks, plants, and animals dependent on each other in so complex a manner and equally reliant on the soil and water of the damp bank with the damp bank they inhibit. All right. And so she said, I invite you, the interested reader, to keep before your mind's eye your own version of an entangled bank, whether it be an ocean beach, an urban park, a lakefront, or a riverbank, or a wetland, a farm, or woods, a block of city trees, a prairie, or a mountain range, the side of a highway or open field, a nature reserve, a coral reef, a public garden, plantings on a campus or a backyard garden, or even a window box on the sill, any place where land or water with their plants or animals, domestic or wild, has drawn your attention, refreshed your spirit, and even lifted your mind and heart to God. Mm.
Hmm.
All right. Last one I'm going to read is page 1. It says, when we contemplate the whole globe as one great dewdrop, dripped and dotted with continents and islands, flying through space and other stars, and flying through space with other stars, all singing and shining together as one. The whole universe appears as an infinite storm of beauty. Right? So, like I was saying with that video, what part I really liked was just how the author took what Darwin said in his last paragraph of the on the origins of the species, and she broke it down. Like she said, go to the bank, go to the meadow, go outside, look outside. So look outside your window box seal. Like just look outside and think about what's all out there. Think about what you see. So you can see worms crawling about, right? You can't see it, but they're out there. You can see gnats and insects flying, bees flying, like birds chirping and flying somewhere, like eagles occasionally pop by. Bluebirds, like you see everything is out there. And it's more to life than just you, right? So that's what I really liked about that part of the book and stuff. So now we're on the second part of this video. And for this video, I want to just talk about how like, every creature matters. So like every creature, you can see God's glory through every single creature that was created. Why? Because we say in the Bible that in 2 Timothy 3:16 says that the Bible was God breathed, and then like in Genesis 1, It said, or 2, whatever one it was. It says that man had God's, God's life was breathed into man, right? So we focus in on that, like only man has God's breath in them, but other animals are living too. So other animals was breathed life into, because how else are they alive? By their own initiative, their own power? No, it's because of God created them, right? So we're going to focus on animals for this video. So the title of today's video is Just Look Outside to See God's Glory. And we're going to talk about how animals glorify God. We talked about it in the first video, plants even glorify God. So we used the seed as an example. So everything's pointing back to God. You can see something glorious about God. You can see a revelation about life that you need to get and glean from just something that you see in creation, because God's just trying to inspire and motivate all of us, right? So I'm going to read this verse. I never really read it, but I should totally do a separate video on it so everybody can get the message, but I've done it before. So the passage is actually a passage So everybody knows Isaiah 40 verse 31, they should mount up on wings as eagles, right? That verse. But I'm going to read it, and I'm gonna hit you guys with something else with this verse, right? And Justin, stop me if you're ready to say, if you have something else you want to say. But Isaiah 40 verse 29, the King James Version reads, He giveth power to the faint, and to them that have no might, He increases strength. Verse 30, from the New International Version Bible, it reads, Even the youth shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall. Dang, I wrote that twice. Okay. Verse 31, But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up on wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. This verse is so powerful on so many levels. We hear it, but I never heard it broken down like it should be broken down. And you have to break it down from an eagle's perspective. So what is life like for an eagle? So eagles are different than any other bird on the planet. Hawks are too. So with the eagles, first of all, we know that there's a law that says like you can't kill an eagle because they're about to go extinct. So that's one good thing that humans are doing with other creatures other than humans, right? So eagles are different from every other bird in the sense that every other bird, when they fly, they have to flap their wings continually to fly. So you look at any other bird, you'll see them going just like this, just to fly. But when you see an eagle only has to flap their wings a few times, and then they just start soaring in the air. So they don't have to flap their wings anymore. Every other bird gets tired out from flopping their wings, so they have to take a break. That's why we see birds like in trees and nests, and just they park their car basically. They park themselves somewhere in creation because they're tired. They need a break. But with an eagle can fly. I don't know the statistic, but an eagle can fly for a long time. Why? Because they go with they fly with the wind and where the wind takes them, right? Because they soaring. So every other bird just has to worry to be able to stay afloat and up in the air. But an eagle can just soar and relax and know that the wind got something. So like I talked about that too in board exams, but the person that I preached that sermon to, she didn't take it right. So it was just her. Her heart wasn't in the right place. But like the wind, it talks about that too in the Bible. Like in the book of John, it says like nobody knows where the wind blows, right? Nobody knows where the wind's going. That's how the spirit is. The spirit is like the wind. So like nobody knows where the spirit's gonna go and operate, but the spirit's gonna do its own thing and just flow where it needs to go. That's the wind. So like it also talks about locusts in the Bible. I'm gonna wait to go there. They go with the wind. They go where the wind takes them. So a locust, as soon as the wind come, they're like a grasshopper. They're no different than a grasshopper, except they got wings. So when the wind hits them in the environment that they're at, they all just bound up and follow where the wind takes them, and eventually all the locusts all over the world come together and fly with the wind, and they go where the wind takes them. And that's why you hear stories of like locusts eating up all plants and all vegetation and stuff like that in a city, because all of them come up in bands, in numbers, and they go where the wind takes them, where the spirit takes them to eat, because everybody has to eat to survive, even a locust, right? So even God takes care of a locust. So why don't you think God's gonna take care of you? right? So eagles don't worry, they soar, right? This verse literally says, I'm gonna read it again, all right, and break it down. So verse 29, he gives power to the faint, and to them that have no might, he increases strength. So if you feel weak, God can strengthen you. If you don't have power and you feel like you are nobody, man, you got might and power in Jesus' name. This is what God does. And let me fix this one. Verse 30, I need to delete this part because it's just, I'm just saying it again. Let me make it bigger so everybody can see it. But verse 30 of Isaiah 40, it reads, even the youth shall faint and be weary. So no matter who you are, you're going to get tired. As you get older, we all know it gets hard. You're going to want to quit. You're going to want to give out. You're going to want to faint. And the young men shall utterly fall. You're going to fail in life, especially when you're working towards your dream and you're trying to succeed in life. You're going to fail sometimes. But you know what God does? Verse 31. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. So if you just wait upon the Lord, you wait for God's timing to act and happen in your life. So eventually everything's going to work together, because all things work together for good to those that love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. And then also all things work together. All good things come to those that wait. We know that saying. But have you experienced it? So those who wait upon the Lord, you wait on God's time, and God's time is different than man's timing. For those who wait upon the Lord, when the wind hits and blows, you need to go where the wind is taking you, where the Spirit takes you, just like a locust, right? Like an eagle, and soar. You were meant to soar in this life, like an eagle. Here's this what this verse is saying. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. So you're not going to be like every other bird, worrying, fretting. That's what they do. They fly continually flapping their wings. An eagle, they shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not be faint. An eagle doesn't get tired when they fly. Every other bird gets tired when they fly. But an eagle doesn't, because they can soar in the air with the wind, where the Spirit takes them. So we, as believers, we're not like every other human being. We get renewed. We get restored. When we're faint and weak, we can receive strength from God. When we feel like quitting and giving up and we don't think we can measure up or all those things, God makes a way somehow, because he gives us the strength that we need, just like with an eagle. So we will mount up with wings as eagles. You were meant to soar in this life. You were meant to uh, soar through heights that you could never fathom. There's something else about an eagle too. Every other bird, when a storm hits, they hide in a shelter and they stay away from the storm. An eagle soars above the storm. So they go way higher than the storm is, and they just soar and fly above the storm. That's what we're called to do as believers. So remember, this whole video is about just go outside and look, see God's glory. God is talking through every single animal you can name. So this is why it's so important to watch Animal Planet and stuff like that, because God is telling you, how do you succeed? Like, what do you need to do? Like, as an eagle, you were called to soar above your circumstances, above your problems, above your trials, above the hard things that you're facing. God is your strength, not you. So you're battles that God already fought. He's the wind. He can take you above it, just like an eagle. The eagle flies above the storm with the wind. So the Spirit's the wind, right? That's what we're called to be, just like an eagle soaring above our storms and our circumstances. And he made us equipped to be able to handle the storm, right? And just soar through it. We don't have to worry like every other bird, try to make it. No, we just fly through the storm just like this, above it, right? So Justin, I'll let you tear it up, man. I know you got something.
Yeah. And I think like a big part of that is like understanding that we are creations of God as well. Because I feel like a lot of Christians are apprehensive towards the idea of like Darwin and evolution, because they think that diminishes like what we are. Like if we came from monkeys, like, oh no, like God created us to be better than that, which yeah, he did. But I feel like we run away from stuff like that because we're afraid of like, oh, the science is like putting us down. But like the church, I feel like the Catholic Church and during the Renaissance said the same thing when they were trying to they believed that the earth was the center of the universe, because like of course God would put us in the center. They couldn't believe like the sun could be the center. And like it's like I like I don't think any of that really diminishes like how important we are to God. Like, yeah, maybe the earth is not the center of the universe, or like, yeah, maybe like we weren't created perfect right off the bat. Like we had to develop over centuries. But like we were still like the Bible still talks about how we are God's creations. Like we were like what is it? Maybe it was in Second Corinthians. I can't remember the book, but saying like we were created in God to do good works. Like that's why we were created. Like it does talk about how we're created in the image of God. I don't know the process that we were created, but at least Darwin is able to recognize like how beautiful creatures and creation are, or like how we can fit into this. But like there we have to acknowledge that however we were created, how whatever process God chose, like we were created by God. But like we have, in order to soar like eagles, in order to soar, take on like the power that God has given us to soar over the storms, we have to acknowledge like we came from God as well, because there are several verses that talk about how if we turn away from God, like we're no better than the other creatures that he's created. But like if we do acknowledge like like that, a lot of verses in the Bible as well say like if we turn away from God, like he just leaves us to our own devices. A lot of people say like if something bad happens to us, it's because we're being punished by God. No, that's a bunch of bull. Like bad things happen because we live in a broken world. But God allows us to be lifted above all that. But like he doesn't make promises that bad things won't happen to us. Like that's our own fault because of the fall. But he does promise that he'll lift us above our own physical problems on an emotional and spiritual level. But in order to do that, we do have to acknowledge like we are like a part of his beautiful creation. Like we are eagles that soar above. We are like we do have dominion over the spiritual world that he's granted us if we put on the armor of God and see like the spiritual battle that's ongoing. But we can't like rage against the heavens. Like that's I feel like that's what a lot of us do. Like when I say a lot of us, I mean Christians as well. It's like we try to take on our own understanding of things, and like that's what happened with Eve. Is like she thought, and Adam, but it started with Eve. Like Eve thought, like she could know better than God for what was best for her, and she thought like taking on that knowledge would be best for her. But ever since then, we have committed that sin of thinking that we know what's best. But no, we can't derive our own power. Like Sean and I looked at Revelations, like the last chapter 21 and 22. The New Jerusalem is sustained by God, and that's the same for us. We have to be sustained by God. We can't pull ourselves up by our own power. Like we have to accept that we are creatures of God, and that is very uplifting because that gives us dominion over all of creation. But that's also humbling because that makes us realize that we get a power from an outside source.
Mm-hmm. Man, you be preaching, man, for real, bro. Um, yeah, like you said some stuff. I wrote down what you said, so I don't forget. All right. So you said we have to be sustained by God and accept we are creatures of God too. And then he said before, he said we are only a part of God's creation. So like a lot of times we're so consumed with humans, we are in God's image, that we miss out the other images that are around us of God.
Mm.
Like not to say that they like that much in the image of God. I mean, but they still have a piece, a part of God. If God breathed life into something,
Mm-hmm.
he can be found in it, right? And we did a video on that. Like, is God's glory, can it be found through a drug dealer? Can it be,
Oh,
I'm gonna say some controversial stuff. It can God's glory be found through Jeffrey Dahmer or Adolf Hitler or like, like somebody evil. Like, and this is a really blunt to say and real controversial. I'm sorry, but like just think about Jeffrey Dahmer, man. How did he murder that many people and get away with it?
mm.
For as long as he did. You can't say he's an idiot and he's stupid. Like, I mean, God gave him intelligence. He just used it in the wrong way. Same thing for Adolf Hitler. Like, well, I ain't got to say Adolf Hitler, man. Y'all know what he did. Like, so, like, how does he do that? He got some kind of like smarts to him. Like, like they just used it in the wrong way. Satan too. Satan. It said in the Bible that Satan is the greatest of all creations, the most beautiful, the smartest, the wisest, like all those stuff. Well, I didn't say he's the wisest, but like maybe it did. But by the way, like Satan, like come on, like he brought down 1/3 of the heavenly host. I mean, these angels aren't meant to sin. Like, how does an angel doesn't have free will? So how does Satan bring down 1/3 of the heavenly host? Then he's good with music. We love music. Imagine hearing Satan play something. I bet you. I bet you he'll brainwash you and get you to be like, I mean, but he's doing that now. So, because like nobody's operating in the way that God has specifically taught us to operate. We're living it now. Like, I don't even got to tell you, Satan's influence on the world is huge. Huge. It totally misconstrued everything. In a perfect world, it's not so perfect no more. Nowhere near, actually. Right? So Justin said we have to acknowledge we came from God. That's the first step. We have to acknowledge that we need Jesus to survive. This verse is so powerful that we read, Justin. It literally went with what you said. It said that God giveth power to the faint, and to them that have no might, he increases strength. This is what he wants to do. But these are only people that get it. Even the youth shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall. Right? What am I looking for? But they that wait upon the Lord. You got to wait upon the Lord. You got to seek the Lord for this kind of strength. You got to go to him. You got to realize in life, like, you can't fend for yourself. You don't have enough strength in and of yourself to fight these battles in life. Only God can fight them for you. Why? Because these are his battles to begin with anyway. Anyways, right? So this is how we're called to fight our battles. We're called to allow God to be our vengeance. We're called to allow God to, we're called to pray and give it over to God and just leave it alone, right? Instead of harboring bitterness and resentment and anger and hatred. Like, we're not supposed to hold on to those things. We're supposed to accept Jesus' love, his grace, his mercy, all those things, right? So we have to acknowledge we came from God. If you don't acknowledge that, you're not gonna be a good steward because you don't even know why he gave you what he's giving you. You don't even know what to do with what he's giving you. So you're just gonna cause it to end up in ruins. And that's this world. Like, as human beings, as a race, because the church has not spoken up on this topic, is exactly like, what does it mean to be a good steward? How can the church partner with all these ecological, so everybody with the ecosystem and anybody that cares about nature and animals and stuff, like how can, and then the air, I mean, it's a lot of stuff, guys. So how can the church partner with people who care about the betterment of humanity in the long run, and not just humanity, the earth? Because humans right now are just focused on themselves, consuming more and more, doing stuff for a profit. And not only that, they would do anything to hurt their neighbor, whether that be a creature on earth, an ant, bug, whatever, or a human being. Because the rich don't care about the poor. They'll do whatever it takes for money. So they'll put stuff in the poor societies if it can make a profit. That's all they care about. They don't care about the betterment of other future nations, and I mean future generations, and the betterment of the world overall. They only do stuff for themselves. That's literally Bible verses like crazy. So like, we have to operate in a place that God wants us to operate, man, the right way. He's called all of us to have dominion. So what does that dominion look like? And if you don't have dominion and rule in the way that God has called us to rule, man, like you're seeing it now, the consequence of that, like global warming, like all these floods, like just weather all over the place, man. Like, it's not good what's happening with this world, man. There's so many problems to talk about. But Justin, I'll let you say something, man. But I was gonna go to these other verses too to a
Yeah,
little more.
I think because you hit on a lot of good parts. And like, keeping with the theme of like looking outside, I guess a lot of people think they think like the ecosystem is animals killing each other to stay on top of the food chain. But I think it is more than that. It is like several animals and plants, like the excerpt you took from on the origins of species. like it is a very balanced ecosystem of things that have to live together. Because like if you had one like uh it's funny because like there was a uh they made a TV show of the Lion King, and they actually showed like if in some animals took more than what they needed, it would like it would like a like killing off a species would like disrupt that ecosystem. So they all have to like work together in a certain way. Or you saw the end of Lion King when like the hyenas took more than they needed, like everything died. And like that's how like that's how we should be acting as well, as like in harmony. If a brother or sister need something, we should be able to like support them. Like the Bible is very clear, I forgot which books, that we support one another, because like without the other, like we would die off. But like we are speeding up that process of killing off one another. And as Sean said, like the rich don't care about like other people. Well, I shouldn't say that. I've got some rich friends who are like some of the most amazing people I know. But like you do have like very people ruled by greed, I should say, who are trying to like get a quicker buck or just try to stay on top. And like that's not a self-sustainable way to keep the earth alive. Like the people ruled by greed, yeah, they may like be rich for a while, but they're just speeding up the death of the earth or the death of like other people.
Right.
And we have lost that like that empathy. And just to reiterate what Sean was saying though too, is like that's not how we're supposed to roll over the earth. That's not how we're supposed to have dominion. Like someone once told me, like the sign of a good kingdom, the sign of a good kingdom isn't their king, but like the condition of their people. It's
Mm,
like the kingdom is only as good as like its people. Like once they die out, like what's the king going to rule over? Like a wasteland? So it's man, I don't know. I'm not sure of a good way to like reiterate any more than that, except we have to like watch out and care for our fellow man. Like we're not put like no man is an island. God didn't put Adam by himself. He gave him a partnership. He gave him other people and other creation to like live in harmony. And like we after the fall, like we obviously have a messed up view of that now. But like you see several cultures, like very young cultures, given enough time, they always form a tribe. They always find out a way to live together. Otherwise, they just die out.
mm,
They have to live in harmony in order for all of them to survive.
right. Yeah. That's something else I was gonna say too. So I said it in the other video, but I'll say it again. I'm about to read off some animals that like you can see God's glory through.
Oh yeah.
But just think about how many they say like every I don't want to say the statistic, I don't remember, but they say basically like every decade or century, like a certain species dies off, right, and becomes extinct. And so I mean, the question is, did God want certain animals to be extinct, or did He want them to,
Hmm.
stay in the world?
Yeah.
Because the extinction that's happening now is because of humans' nature and humans abusing their authority, abusing their responsibility as good stewards of the earth. Like we're causing other creatures on earth to die off,
Yeah.
and we're killing them by how we're operating and doing things without any concern or care.
Hmm.
And that's not what God intended for us to do with our dominion. Like we have a responsibility to take care of the earth. Have we been taking care of it? Do we actually do things for it? No, like it's a battle. Like, and then even when you do try to do something to help the earth, you get attacked. Some people been being killed. So it's just like a huge, a lot of tension with just that topic. And it's not gonna nothing's gonna happen until the Earth's like really bad. Like you know what I mean? Like we have to live in space or something because
Hmm.
like the Earth, because of pollution, for example, it's just you can't breathe in anything because we killed off all the trees too, and we planting fake ones, and the fake ones ain't doing anything. right? And so like it's just so much stuff, man. But I'm gonna read these verses to tie in what we were talking about. Like the title of the video is, just look outside to see God's glory. So these are my favorite verses of all time. I quote them before. I always talk about the rock badger and the coney.
Oh yeah.
So um, I want to talk about the other ones today. So Proverbs verse 30, verse 24. Probably my favorite scripture verse ever. All right, it says, "There be four things which are little upon the earth, tiny upon the earth, but they are exceedingly wise." Right? It says, "The ants are a people not strong, yet they prepare their meat in the summer. The conies, rock badgers, hyraxes, that's what they're called, are but a feeble folk, yet make their houses in the rocks." Why do I keep on saying it twice, Justin? I keep on putting it twice. All right. Verse 27, "The locusts have no king, they go they forth, all of them by bands." And then verse 28, "The spider taketh hold with her hands and is in king palaces." So these are four creatures which are upon the earth, and they are exceedingly wise. Let's start with the spider. So in some translations, it says the spider or the lizard, because certain places we have spiders, I guess, in the South. So in Tennessee, Mississippi, and stuff like that. But I'm pretty sure, what places have lizards? Everybody that doesn't have spiders has lizards, right? So I think Hawaii has lizards.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure Hawaii.
that is right. We did mention that when we looked over this verse. I forgot what we said about that though.
Yeah. So um, when it comes to spiders and when it comes to lizards, so it changes based on translation. But it said the spider hold with their hands and is in king palaces. So with this verse, it's just saying like with spiders, with lizards, there's no place that they can't get into. Why? They just keep on. They can go to the highest of places or to the lowest of places, but they can be found even in king palaces. So something so little, so insignificant, we wouldn't want a spider to come into our place, right? Especially a king's palace, the best place ever, like in the White House, for example, in the United States. No spiders and lizards can be in there. No, not for the president. But they find their way in it regardless of humans stopping them. And that's what God's trying to tell humans. Like, not there's no place too high for you to reach. There's no place that you can't no height that you can't go up to. You don't have a ceiling, right? Even a spider, a lizard can go in king's palaces. So can you, right? But you have to keep on fighting. It says the spider taketh hold with her hands. What does a spider do when you knock down its web? I mean, you guys had spiders before. When you knock down a spider's web, it's gonna come right back, and it's gonna be the same web in the same spot every single time, right? Like 10 straight times, 20 straight times. Like the spider doesn't get the memorandum. It's always gonna keep on coming back. So that verse is saying, even a spider, if it's rejected from king's palace, it's gonna keep on coming back. It's gonna keep on making itself known in the palace and still residing there. It's gonna be all right. It can be it's so high up you can't even touch it, right? In the king's palace. So that's what that verse is saying. Like as human beings, that's what God's glory is trying to show us. Like just go outside and see God's glory. God's trying to tell us, like, there's no limit for you. You keep on fighting for something, you keep on wanting something to, transpire, you keep on working towards your dreams, and if you're not there yet, you keep on going. You keep on showing up. You keep on getting rejected by people and doors closed in your face. You keep on showing up. You keep on going, just like the spider, until you arrive in king's palaces. Because a spider can be anywhere. They don't even know where it's at, really. But I mean, when it's somewhere nice, I'm pretty sure it makes its home there and stays, So I don't know. But that's what spiders and lizards. Did you have anything else with that, Justin?
A little bit, yeah. I think like we touched a little bit on this, and it's just like looking outside, seeing the diversity of animals. Like I appreciate that God and like the writers of the Bible try to help it because like man, humans are complicated. And like understanding the word of God is even more complicated. But like I think that's why Jesus used parables and the Bible uses animals because that helps us understand the qualities of God a little bit more by relating it to the earth that we can understand, like earthly things that we can understand. And like using spiders or lizards and all the other animals that Sean mentioned, you get to see like a little bit of that diversity, a little bit of the design behind all of them that we can associate with as well. And it's like, and I don't know, I just appreciate that, because like humans are really complicated to like nail down, but like God is using his creation, his animals, to show like how they can bring glory, or even like annoying habits like the spider webs always popping up as a persistent quality that we should have as well. And
Yeah.
I just think that's really cool, because like but it's also very humbling, because like, man, Jesus compares us to like sheep all the time, and we think, man, like sheep is like a terrible animal to relate us to, but like
Yeah.
he's showing like how that can be a good quality as well, like the ability to follow and to humble ourselves, or to like recognize God's voice, I think are like all qualities that we would think are bad, but is actually used for the good of God.
Hmm.
And I don't know that, I just think there, I I just like how God has decided to like show his beauty through like the diversity of creation, and then allowing us to relate our qualities to that as well, to kind of show that we're very multifaceted as well. Like we won't have like just one ability, like we're all different body parts. It's kind of like how I think Einstein quoted with you can't judge a fish by how well it climbs a tree. And it's like, yeah, you wouldn't expect a fish to do that. You would expect like a monkey or something else. So you see, you have all these animals, you have all these creations, and you have like the majesty of like an eagle, or like the meekness of a sheep. And those are all qualities that we can incorporate into our lives.
Yeah.
Or like the annoying persistence of a spider. It makes me think of like the neighbor who kept knocking on his neighbor's door for like bread. And it's like that's persistence that God apparently rewards.
Hmm. Yeah, I was getting all these, you know how I do playlists and stuff, so I was showing off my Rock Badger playlist. That's what I'm gonna do at the end. But
Rock
yeah,
badge list.
yeah, I have a Rock Badger playlist because I preach sermons on it too and everything. So
Oh, that's funny. That's
yeah.
awesome.
So yeah, yeah, we gotta do a series on that, man, because I've done it before. I just didn't do it.
We
Nobody.
did it. We've done some Bible studies on rock badge.
Oh,
Well,
oh yeah, we
I
did.
just didn't realize you had a playlist for it. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, yeah. I got a lot of videos on it too, but this will be another one. So yeah, guys. So I just read the book of Proverbs, right? So I always say every time I read anything from the book of Proverbs, what you need to know about a proverb is a general statement that is true regarding the way life works, regarding the way things happen in the world. So a proverb is just an observation that's made that we can draw lessons from and conclusions from those observations on life, right? So the book of Proverbs is so profound and powerful. You just saw it just with the spider and the lizard. Like, and then I already talked about it with the locust, so I'm not gonna do it again. But I will say this: like the locusts have no king. They are all by themselves, individuals. But as soon as the wind hits, they all fly where the wind takes them. And then if they all fly where the wind takes them, so everybody's in unison with going where the wind takes them, right? So imagine if humanity's or Christians, the church, is all in unison about serving the Lord and where the Spirit directs us. Like, for example, when it comes to taking care of our planet and we want to be good stewards of our planet, if we all had that initiative and agree to do that, to help out future generations in the betterment of this world and everything like that for all creation, not just humans, like, just think about what we could do. Just think about every single church band up together to work together. What changes could happen in a society, regardless of our differences as a church. See, that's why a lot of movements happened back in the olden days, because churches came together and worked together. Now, churches are becoming more segregated, separate. I feel like they don't work together at all, just like cults or
Mm,
whatever. So the
yeah.
locusts have no king, yet they forth all of them by bands. So they go together in bands. So they work together as a team, as a unit. And when they do that, it's you can tell because where the wind takes them, wherever the wind stops and drops them off, then they just eat up all the plants, the vegetation, just whatever they can eat. And you can look online at like just like the craziest locust breakouts and like what they did to cities. Like they devoured like a whole harvest to where like a whole nation had a famine or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So like locusts are off the chain, man. Like they're just a grasshopper, a little thing, but
Mm.
they're wise, and that's so crazy. Like there's so much to say about a locust, but like they're so fat that they shouldn't be able to fly, and they
Oh,
really can't. Yeah, like so, but they don't. That doesn't let them stop them. They know their strength. They know if the wind is strong enough, it could take them where they need to go if they jump high enough, right? And they jump super high, like 90 feet in the air or something. It's something crazy. So, yeah, that's something else you should know about locusts. But basically, if you go to everything in creation, you can see God's glory. So the whole point of this video is just go outside and look to see God's glory. Justin, you want to say anything with the locusts, or you want me to keep on going?
yeah. I think that's a, and that's a, I do think that's awesome that like even like an annoying creature, and I think in the last video we were talking about like what are some creatures that are annoying but still bring glory to the God. Like locusts are interesting because you would think like that almost makes me think of another video we did of like how can like drug dealers bring glory to God and things like that. And like that is an instance where a lot of times we instantly judge a group of people or we try to put ourselves above other people. And I'm not saying that's like a good path that you should take in life, but like that is undermining like who God can use, because like even during Jesus's time, they like Jesus ate with tax collectors, and like for us nowadays we would think, oh, that's like the IRS, that's no big deal. No, they were a lot worse than you would think. They were corrupt, they supported like the Roman regime, they were seen as betrayers by the Jewish people, they like extorted people, they were basically the mafia, only worse. um but and maybe that's how we see like some creatures as well, like locusts. Like we would think they're a nuisance, but like even God is able to like indicate like how like some admirable qualities of them is that maybe they don't follow a king, or they aren't subjugated to like an earthly kingdom, or they aren't subjugated to like an earthly ruler. Like they are able to find something for a higher purpose. And for us, it's like God. Like we're supposed to be kind of neutral. I don't want to say neutral because I do think we should be against like injustices and stuff. But it's like we should transcend like Democrat or Republican or like any earthly agendas is maybe what I'm saying. Like even I'm not gonna say some things that might be too controversial, but even like bad things that people do, I think God doesn't necessarily want us to do bad things, but the Bible says He can use that for good. Um, and like I think that's very powerful that He's able to even indicate. I like that Sean was able to find this verse because it indicates that even creatures that we think have no admirable qualities, like God is able to use them for good in some
Yeah.
way.
And even those creatures, these beasts, right, that are ugly and filthy, right, they even can work together. So what about humans? Like, what about the church? Like, we should
Mhm.
be working together. Like, they come up in bands. That's crazy.
Mm.
Legions. Like, if you look at any locust like breakout, just Google it. It will make you itch. Because when
Mm.
all of, even in the Bible, when the 10 plagues hit Egypt, I think it was 10 plagues, right? So when the locusts hit, it said that there were so many locusts that you couldn't even see the ground because it was pitch dark. That is awful.
Mm.
But that's what
There.
Christians should, right? That's what Christians should be like. We should come off that terrifying in a way. Like
Mm.
that we should be that hungry and thirsty for food, right? For spiritual milk, for God's kingdom, ruling over the earth, right? And when we come together in bands and work together, boy, it makes people like fall back and surrender. Because you're not gonna do anything if locusts came to wherever you're located like that. You're gonna stay inside and try your best to keep them out your house and avoid it. Same thing. That's what Christians are called to do, right? So this is so powerful, man. So
Mm.
just the whole point is, open your windows, open your doors, look
Mm.
outside, realize that there's more out there than just you and which is humanity and all that stuff. Like God can be seen anywhere and everywhere. His glory is everywhere, just like his spirit. So like, yeah, a lot of times we don't pay attention to that, focus in on that. Justin, you want me to end the video or you want me to talk about ants and conies? Like, how do you feel?
Let's see. I think we got a little bit of time. I think that'd
Okay.
be good.
Because I
Yeah, it's
know,
like what, 45 minutes?
yeah, I don't
I
know how
think.
you feel. I'm kind of like tired. Are you tired?
Oh, uh, I'm good right now. It's whatever you want to do, man. We can do another video later, or we can wrap it up.
Man, let's go. Let's go, man. Let's keep it.
Okay, yeah, we got. Yeah. Sorry, man, to keep you up, but I think we got this. I think we're
Nah,
on.
that's cool. Yeah, I was making sure you're okay. You know.
Yeah, I think we. Yeah, I think we can put 15 more minutes in if you've got it in you.
Oh yeah, like for sure. We'll definitely. Let's go ahead and get it, man. All right, so I'm making this bigger so everybody can see it. Cause all right, so the next verse, which was the second one, I'm going out of order. So it's Proverbs 30, verse 26. I talked about this on my YouTube channel a lot. So if you go to my YouTube channel, Uplift Past Crossroads, one thing you'll probably hear me preach a lot on, speak a lot on, is rock badgers. So let me find it. Yeah, this playlist right here. So these are all the videos I've done thus far, just talking about rock badgers in some kind of way. So this is another video added to that, and then I'll be preaching a lot of sermons on it. But here goes the verses. Proverbs 30, verse 26 from the King James Version Bible. It says, the conies, they're also known as hyraxes or rock badgers, are but a feeble folk, yet make their houses in the rocks. Favorite verse of all time, because I can preach this for the rest of my life. So like rock badgers are a feeble folk. So they aren't a predator and they are just prey. So they're not a predator to any other species. So like they have teeth, but it's like human teeth. So they can't, and it's actually worse. Like they can't do anything.
It's like soft, right?
Yeah, like if a snake or something attack them, they can't bite them. Like they basically have nothing in their arsenal to attack or protect themselves. But they do have one thing that they're good at, right? This is what makes them exceedingly wise. They're small, but they're exceedingly wise. So a coney, a rock badger, it looks like a rabbit. I think they're like in rainforests or just somewhere like in Australia or something like that. So like places like that where there's tigers, bears, foxes, so a lot of stuff that can kill them and eat them, right? Because then they also have small legs, so they can't run. So they're the worst bunny ever. Like it's like a guinea pig, but worse. So they're slow, small legs, can't run, can't fight, can't bite anything. But it says right here, right? The conies are but a feeble folk. They're weak. They're small. They're useless. Doesn't that sound like human beings? Like anything can take out a coney. A snake, a bear, a hunter, anything can take out a coney. But hunters stop searching and trying to kill them and find them because of this one quality right here, right? So conies are but a feeble folk. So they realize their weakness and they also know their strength. Yet they make their houses in the rocks. And you look at other verses of the Bible. So it's mentioned multiple times talking about rock badgers and conies. It says in the hyraxes, it talks about how like they make their homes in the cracks of the rocks. So they don't just stay where the rocks are. So one quality that conies do have is they can stick on walls. They're a rock. Like they're like Spider-Man basically. So for some reason they can stick on rock like a spider would. Anything, right? Then on top of that, they stay at high elevations. So snakes, most animals can't get up to where they are in the rocks because it's so high elevated. See, God's ways are higher than our ways. His thoughts are higher than our thoughts. So when we take our minds and our lives to the places that God wants us to go with his mindset, like so forget about earthly things, but set your mind on heavenly things. That's Colossians chapter 3. If we do that and think about spiritual things only, so that's having a higher way of thinking about like a higher perspective, God's perspective on life. That's what all of us should strive to do. That's what conies do. They elevate themselves past their enemies, past their circumstances, past their feebleness. So they're on the rocks, high up, where predators, prey, things that want to kill them can't touch them. And even if they do, they hide in the rocks because it says that eagles try to get at them too. So like eagles, when an eagle try to take out a coney, they fly above the sun first, so they make it look like that they're hiding from the coney, and then eventually the eagle just slowly drops down right underneath the sun and comes flying in to take their prey. So that's how they kill off all their prey, just like that. Because the sun blinds everybody who's trying to look at an eagle. Like the eagle's that talented, right?
Mm.
How you know where the sun is, right?
So
The
smart.
eagle.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, that's what Christmas is supposed to be. The son of God. Just stay where he is so you can get your food. Like, but like with conies and rock badgers, man, like they have like three eyelids basically. So they one eyelid basically blocks the sun. So they can see the deception that an eagle's doing in the sun. And then they all chirp at each other. They make a certain sound that everybody knows, okay, we got to hide in the rocks because they stay in communities because they all stay in and make their houses in the rock. What is the rock called in scripture? Jesus. He's the rock of our salvation, right? The rock. Jesus is the rock that shineth on me. It's so many songs, man. Like I can go to the rock, when everything else fails, I can go to the rock. That's an old school gospel song. So like, there's so many songs talking about the rock, right? Jesus said also like a parable. Don't build your house on sand, build your house on the rock. Me and Justin talked about this. In the heaven, in the new heaven and new earth, and even back in ancient time period, like houses today just fly where the floods take them because they don't have a good foundation. But in olden days, they used to make sure the foundations of a house went all the way down to like the third layer of the soil, which was where rocks are found in the ground, because rocks are found in the ground, right? So the house was so deep in the ground, in the soil, so it's a solid foundation that when storms hit, you know, floods happen, the house doesn't move. So obviously, in the day's time period, they only care about money and planting more houses, not about sustainability and building solid foundations. But like, yeah, so the rock batters, they built their house on the rock, on a solid foundation. So they're good at the rock. This is their strength. They can, stick to it. They're a community of people. Like conies don't go 25 feet away from the rock. Why? Because they can't run fast. A snake, a bear, a fox is always going to wait on them, and they can attack them whenever and get them easy. They're easy picking, easy prey because they can't fight off or fend for themselves. They're a feeble folk. So what do? They stay near the rock. They make their house where the rock is. That's what we're called to do. We're called to stay where Jesus is, abide with him. They go even to the cracks of the rocks. Do you go in the cracks of where God is in the rocks? Like, do you get in the nits and crevices of where God is? Just like the coney? Like, conies are bad, man. Like, they see the deception of an eagle through the sun. We see it. Paul even said it. He said, we see what Satan's trying to do. We see his schemes. We see his game plan. And we're not going to be fooled because we know this world ain't our home. Like, Paul says stuff like that. That's conies. Like they can see when somebody's trying to deceive them. Why? Why? Because they have a higher perspective on life. They're where the rocks. They live in the rocks. Like, you know what I mean? So like Jesus is the rock. Conies are so bad. Humans are no different. A tornado, snake, we can die. What's that saying? It's a show like How to Die in 10,000 Ways or something like that. 10,000.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, 10,000 ways to die. Like
Oh
a human can die in a lot of ways, man. Like we're no different than a coney. We're a feeble folk. The littlest thing can take us out. Like a spider bite from the right kind of spider can
yeah.
kill us. You know what I mean? Like anything can take us out. We're a weak, feeble folk. So that's why we got to stay near the rock where Jesus is. He's our strength. Animals can't do anything against rocks. I know a snake don't like climbing rocks. There's no way, right? So you're not gonna like climbing that stuff. So Justin, I thought there's so much to say with that, man.
Yeah. I feel like, oh gosh, there's like so many animals I want to talk about as well. But yeah, I'll stick with rock conies. It is just amazing. Like you were talking about, like how rock conies and eagles, they both have like their own strengths, and they're able to instinctively know how to use that as well. And like I do feel like as people, like as humans, as people, like we need to find out what our strengths are as well. Like God has given us like certain strengths that we need to discover, and a lot of times we try to run away towards that. I think I don't know, like I don't want to always like blame today's culture or today's society, because it makes me sound old, like the old person that I am, 33 years old, as Sean learned today. But like we really have like elevated the concept of um follow your dreams or do what you want to do. And like, I don't want to say don't follow your dreams. That's not what this channel is about. But it's like sometimes we do need to like align our dreams with like the talents that God has given us. Like you're not gonna find like a rock coney who has dreams of like running fast away from the eagles. No, he be extinguished very quickly. And like I think the same thing. Like we sometimes we try to do run away from God in the same way. We try to run away from the rock and try to figure out like, oh, like run after something that we might not be called to do.
Mm-hmm.
And like that, but our culture kind of supports and like uh say no to the haters, say no to the naysayers, which you should be doing. Like you shouldn't be caring like what people are saying about your dreams. But like I think we do have to be careful about like, okay, what were we created to do? And like a lot of times we instead of like listening to God or leaning on his understanding, we're trying to be an eagle when maybe we're like a rock coney. And like we need to use our gifts in that manner.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I don't have a whole lot to say about the rock conies for that, but that's just what Sean was making me think is like he's naming off like all the abilities of a rock coney. And like maybe we would put the rock coney down, but as we said before, like everything has its purpose in life. Everything has its gift from God. Like if we stick to the rock, if we stick to our foundation, like it's good to try new things, to exercise ourselves, to like broaden our horizons. But we should like figure out like what are our passions, what actually fulfills us, like and how does that fit in our life. I was in a conversation with a couple of guys who were talking about like we should like it's not necessarily an idea of what do we want to do, but it's like what what fulfills us, what fills us up. Because if we follow what we want to do, like that can be detrimental a lot of times. Like to use Jeffrey Dahmer as an example, since we've already mentioned him, like you don't want to ask that guy what he wants to do.
Yeah.
But like it's a shame because like there were several people that went down in history as like terrible people who unfortunately had very good skills. They were just used in the wrong way. So I think there is a balance of like figuring out like what are we passionate about, what fulfills us, and channeling that towards our rock, towards what God wants us to do, like sticking to that rock and using our skills to the best of our abilities. I think
Yeah.
there's a good balance. It's like you don't have to give up your dreams. You just channel it in a way that builds a good foundation, that builds on the rock, the sturdy foundation we already have.
Right. Yeah. One of my sermons I'm gonna preach, man, is it's an escape song. So you know how we do songs of the day.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, the escape song is anybody black knows it because it's too big. So it's just the group's
So
called Escape and it's called Who Can I Run To? Right?
oh okay. I've heard
Yeah.
that.
And you know the lyrics, man.
Yeah.
That's gonna be the next song of the day. Actually, we should definitely do it because this is gonna be a sermon, anyways. This song came out in 1995, and it says, "I stand here contemplating on the right thing to decide. Will I take the wrong direction? All my life, where will I go? What lies ahead of me?" This is what a Coney says, right? They don't know what lies ahead of them. Death lies ahead of them. Like literally, when a Coney's born, they're already taught your home is the rock. This is where you stay. If you venture
Mhm.
off, you die. And they see it up close and personal because they already know they don't run fast. So like they see people getting picked off all the time. And none of them really leave the rock because they already know they don't stand a shot. So they know like this is their home. And like the stuff that they do, like they bask in the sun at the start of every single day to renew their strength. Because something that the sun does for them like gives them an extra like strength, just like humans. Like we need sunlight too. So like yeah, and so the song says, "I have strong determination. I'm not afraid of change. I have yet to find that someone who would care to satisfy me, to stay right by me. And then this is the main chorus of the song. It says, who can I run to share this empty space? Who can I run to when I need love? Who can I run to fill this empty space with laughter? Who can I run to when I need love? You can run to Jesus when you need love. There's no greater protection than Jesus. Like, if you stay where the rock is, you are guaranteed to thrive. If you go outside of the rock as a believer, you stand no shot. You already are a feeble folk. What can you do against the KKK as a black person? And it's just you against them. Nothing. Like, at the end of the day, you're not bulletproof. You're not 10 feet tall. You don't stand a shot. Even Goliath got taken down, right? So, like, the strongest of us can be taken out. Nobody, even Samson. Samson could have ruled for all of millennium. Like, so, man, the only person you can run to and count on is Jesus. And this is literally the conies, man. This is all they put their faith in and their stock in. Literally, the cracks of the rocks is their home. So, man, I love conies so much, man. Like, but yeah, just go outside and see God's glory, man. Justin, you got another one, or you want to just save it for another video? I think we should save it for another video. Like,
for another video, yeah.
I was gonna talk about ants. I'll save it for another video, man.
I feel like there's a lot to say about ants too, so that might be better for another video.
All right, cool. So ants is the next video we're doing. Talking about just go outside and see God's glory. It'll be part 3.
Yeah, because just because like ants are a lot more complicated than you would think. Just like with colonies, I don't know. It could speak to a lot of the glory of God. So yeah, that is a lot to say.
All right, so yeah, you guys can get ready for it too, I guess. So me and Justin, we're gonna do a video on Proverbs 3 verse 25. That's gonna be our next video.
Yeah. I just saw Ant-Man 3 yesterday. Yeah.
You like it?
Oh yeah, like it was kind of all over the place, but I liked it.
Yeah, it was. It didn't suck, so that's all that matters. All right, guys, you guys know the drill. I'm not gonna say everything because I am tired. All right, I work third shift, by the way. Now I'm an unarmed security guard at Allied Universal, and I only slept from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. So now it's hitting me. So here go my social media pages. I got the best social media pages ever. Please support me on them. Instagram, you suck. I'm tired of the Instagram police. I ain't posting 2 weeks because you're all butts. Man, they're shadow banning me. Y'all suck. I hate Instagram. Fix it. All right, anyways.
Yeah, man, of all the problems you would have, I thought it would have been Twitter, but yeah.
Twitter, my baby. Twitter will never do me wrong. Twitter will never do me wrong, Justin.
Oh, okay.
All right, but anyways, here goes my YouTube page, Uplift Past Crossroads. Like I said, we got a lot of video playlists on here. So wherever, if you enjoyed this video, you want to see way more videos with me and Justin, just scroll down to here where it says this section that says our podcast. You can watch all the videos me and Justin did together right here on this playlist. If you enjoyed us talking about rock badgers, check out this playlist. Hyraxes, conies.
How many videos do you have on rock badgers? I'm really curious about that. We got a playlist for ants too. Oh man.
Yeah, 10. Now 11.
Huh.
Not that many, but make us try. Ants.
We've already got 3 on ants. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. We actually did them together. About to be 4. Or 5. Yeah, and Eagles. Eagles is another one.
Surprised we don't on the Eagles, because you're on fire about the eagle analogy, and I really like that. Oh, maybe it was like our life group Bible studies that maybe you talked more about eagles. Maybe we haven't talked about it as much on the videos.
Well, okay. So you're saying I talked about it before?
Yeah, and oh man, I just remember you got excited with the eagle analogy, and I just remember getting on fire about that analogy of soaring over the storms. It was a good analogy. I guess compared to, I'm surprised we have more videos about ants than we do eagles.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't look at that.
That's funny.
I'm just waiting to have 100 videos on it, So all this is nothing, But yeah, guys. All right, let me show you guys. I'm so tired right now. All right, so book reviews of the playlist. Any books that we review, quotes of books and stuff. That's what we did for seminary school. All right, and God speaks through creation. That's what we were tearing up. All right, then let's just talk about Justin's YouTube channel. Here goes Chaplain's log. Make sure to subscribe, click the bell so you're notified anytime we upload another video. Do that on both of our YouTube channels. And then make sure to like, comment, and share. Please do those things. If you don't, our pages won't grow. Here goes Justin's Facebook page, Justin Lee Howell. Befriend him on there. If you got any questions, send us a DM. We'll do a video on whatever question you ask. I'm going to sleep. My head's starting to hurt. Well, I probably just need food, Justin, but we'll talk to you guys later, man. You have a good weekend.
Peace.
This was for you guys, all right? Because I got so
You're welcome.
Right. Please share. All right, bye.